Okay, so for this project, I came up with a business plan for a company I call Diffuse. But before I go into that, I wanted to kind of explain how I got this idea. And that really starts with some of my values. So first and foremost, people. If I can put it as simply as possible, I truly believe that everyone has value, potential, and a purpose. The second is positivity. I try very hard to not accept the premise of negativity. And when I look at my life, I literally have celebrated some of the worst things in my life. And that changed how I looked at them. All of a sudden, this pain and this sadness, although it's still in that moment, I'm able to take that and realize that from that moment, I became who I am today. So when I look at problems, I try to find the good within it. And lastly, business. Business, I believe, can change the world, and quicker than some people may think. And that's what I love about it, is you get to work with people and help them be what they want to be, but you also get the chance to change the world. So, taking into consideration those values, I had to ask myself some questions. What can I do? I think everyone knows I've had a tough semester with my health, and I don't have energy for much. So if I don't have energy for much, there's probably someone out there who doesn't either. Then, how do I make positive change easy? Because I need something to be easy. So then I thought, my product, my business has to be convenient. If it's convenient, everyone will do it. And I didn't want to just focus on to make a change, but how do I make this change grow? And that came back to a theme that I found throughout the semester of every little step needs to be a big deal, because it is. It's one step closer to a habit. It's one step closer to changing the world. And how do I make the biggest impact? My target market is anyone who is considered a consumer, because if we're gonna go big, let's include everyone. Then I looked at fast fashion, and there's this cycle of businesses make what they think the consumers want, the consumers buy what businesses make, and over time, this cycle has gone faster and faster and faster. So I asked, how do we get in the middle of it? And my conclusion was a rewards card for sustainability. So I call it Diffuse. Diffuse's purpose is to create a positive platform that empowers and educates consumers about sustainability and helps businesses to become more sustainable and ethical. Diffuse wants to connect consumers to the people who construct the products with the goal of human connection within everyday shopping. So let's take a look at the product. What is it? It's a rewards card for sustainability. So you'll receive points for being more sustainable or for buying something more sustainable. And where can you get it? At any of the participating stores. You can receive it when you buy a $5 reusable bag. So how does it work? I explained the reusable bag part, and you get 10 points when you sign up, and you'll sign up online the same way you would an SPC card. And from there, every time you buy a product that is sustainable, you'll get points. If you bring in a reusable bag, you'll get points. And when I was focusing on the fashion industry, every place that I work with, I want them to have staple items that you will always get points for, and a monthly item that will be something new and different to keep up with trends that you'll also get points for. And they'll have a more sustainable and ethical way of thinking, and they have to go through ethical qualifications. So what is the value of a point? It's 1 cent. It's not much, and depending on the marketing, you can put a 0 on the end of, 10 points is 1 cent, but it's 1% cash back for the consumer, which is kind of nice. But the businesses will end up spending 1.5%, and that extra 5% is the Diffuse fee. And how do we determine the qualifications of a product? Ideally, we would partner with the Sustainable Fashion Coalition so that we can use the Higgs Index and any other information they can give us to understand the process that it takes to make that garment. How sustainable is that process and how ethical is it? And the second is checking the garment for quality, because one of the biggest problems is that our clothes break down quickly and they go in the trash, and we have a ton of stuff in the landfill. So we want these clothes to be strong and sturdy and last a very long time. And so then I came up with a 3-year vision. So in my first year, instead of starting a company on my own, I would partner with a company. And for this project, I've looked at H&M as our pseudo company. And we start the year by, obviously, we need a base. So we start branding and marketing, which is completely around our beliefs. Consumer research, because if we want everyone to be our target market, how do we get everyone there? Partner with the Sustainable Fashion Coalition, which I think they would have an amazing amount of information for this and could help push it forward. Then the card design and production, reusable bag production. I think companies might want to make their own reusable bags, or they already do. So it's more the production that we need to focus on. And creating a website and an app. And then we'll start, in the first year, we'll start with the staple garments. So every company is required to have a few staple garments. 5 to 10 is kind of the idea, so it's not overwhelming. But the idea behind these is they will not go out of style in 10 years, which is a very difficult thing to do today. But we need something that's going to stay in people's closets for 10 years. They also, they have to have an ethical and sustainable percentage, with the idea that we understand this will go up over time. And we want to make the consumer part of the experience, part of the process. So through this, we will make videos and campaigns showing some part of the manufacturing, and we'll put a face to a product, because I feel a little bit better paying a little more if I know another human being who works as hard as me made that. And from there, we'll do a soft launch and just test out a couple markets, figure out if we need to change anything, and then we'll make a full launch. So this will be available in every store. Year 2, we would like to up it to 2 sustainable items per month, we want to start with 1 sustainable item per month that we get to promote. That's our monthly item. We'll start with something unisex, and depending on its qualifications, it'll get a higher percentage. And that means you get more points. And we'll use pretty much the same idea as the staple garments, but we'll just push it further and make sure every month that this is marketed beyond what the staple garments are marketed as. Then we'll push it to 2 sustainable products per month. Do something more feminine, more masculine, the same idea. Year 3, we want to push it to 4 sustainable garments per month that are special. If we're looking at H&M, they have a really big market, and for them, this could work. So we could have adult, female, male, child, female, male. Then every year we will compile information and understand things, but this year we're going to get a really in-depth report so that we can start planning to expand to other companies. Now, we have to make money. If we don't make money, companies don't want to be a part of this, and that's life, and that's fine. So if we use H&M as our pseudo company, we understand that H&M has 4,739 stores as of 2017. And to kind of get an idea of what they make, their gross profit before they have any costs is $162 million Canadian. But their profit margin is only $30 million, and that's after expenses before taxes. So they don't have as much money to play with as you would think. And from this, the first bit, we would want Diffuse to get 25% of whatever the garments and bags make, and H&M will get 75% so that we can really get going on what we're doing. But because we're starting within the company, we wouldn't need as much money. I think $1 million, give or take, depending on how big we're going, how quickly. But I looked at the numbers for what it would cost for the bags to be made. And without, getting into boring calculations, as much as I get excited about it. Basically, the card, the bag, and the points that go with the initial startup is $1.46. We'll sell the bag for $5, so that means $3.54 for that would be our profit margin. Now, theoretically, if we made it so that every store had to sell 100 of these cards and bags, we would have close to 500,000 card users really quickly. And the profit from that would come to about $1.6 million, which I got really excited that, in the first year we don't even just break even, we make a profit. So Diffuse will get 5 cents from every bag that's sold because of the points, and then they'll take 25% of the profit, which $1 million is knocked off for our startup fees off the top. So Diffuse, their profit margin comes to $182,000, $182,000, which is pretty impressive. And H&M gets close to $500,000. So we not only are going to start creating sustainability, but we're going to make money right away. So my marketing strategy. I want to reshape the entire shopping experience. And through that, I will start with empowering and acknowledging people. With consumers, we'll empower them to be more sustainable and give them the opportunity and the knowledge to do that, and acknowledge them by giving them points. Now, businesses are going to need time to change. So we'll empower them to do change slowly. It's not going to happen right away, but we'll acknowledge every little step because that makes them just that much closer. And manufacturing, we're empowering them to be seen and acknowledging them by the work that they do that isn't seen. And this creates a positive human connection. So our campaigns really, we want consumers, and through this the businesses also will learn how their clothes are made, who makes them, and you put a face to a product. So shopping no longer is, I like that. Shopping is, I know who made that. Subtle self-education also. Consumers will, as they go through this experience, they'll change their buying habits without even knowing it. They'll buy more quality clothes because we sell them. And over time, they'll start to understand the difference between those clothes and cheaper clothes. And also, they have the opportunity to connect with the process of creating a garment, which I think changes their view. So to conclude, I did a SWOT analysis, and we'll start with the strengths. So target market is everyone. That means we can make change happen quickly. Consumers buy more quality clothes, less clothes go into the garbage. Consumers live more sustainably. We give them tools to start with little steps to grow to become more sustainable. And consumers educate themselves. We lay out the information, but they put it together. And through that, they'll make a human connection with the manufacturing. And that creates more transparency in the industry. And companies will then demand more transparency because that's what consumers want. And businesses, they need time to change. And we don't always give people time to change. So this gives them a way that they look good, but also that their company will completely shift into something that's more sustainable and ethical. Our startup cost is covered by another company. A lot of the things we don't have to do because someone else is paying for it, which is great. And the reusable bags make money quickly. So if I can show I can make money quickly, people are going to want in. Weaknesses, the payment for the bag or the card could be a bit bad depending on people's perspectives. And understanding that the whole target market might not like this because it's hard to figure out what everyone likes. So there are going to be points where we miss some of the market. So that's a bit of a weakness. And manufacturing difficulties, the one big question that I don't know is exactly how much time it will take for staple garments to be manufactured. And that's going to be a big step. So that in itself, depending on how much time, how much money, how much resources you're given, it could take a long time to get. And then the monthly items could take longer because they need to start a cycle of this. It just changes how they completely work. So the initial steps could be tough for companies. And that leaves the sustainable items with an unknown cost. So H&M, if I can get a shirt for $2, but you want me to pay $25 for a different one, it could be that price jump in the market for that people don't want to pay. And false transparency, I think keep understanding the manufacturing and keeping people accountable is really difficult. So our push to keep transparency, that will have to be rock solid, otherwise this crumbles right away. And companies that are not fully committed to doing the work. Maybe they just want the bags and they don't want the staple items, or they don't care that the staple items are actually sustainable. Then opportunities. Ideally, we would partner with a sustainable fashion coalition, and that would give us access to more fashion companies that want to become more sustainable. And we have any target market is applicable. So that means that we can take on niche companies, which then we get to diversify a lot. Social media will help pick this up really quickly, and there's always so many opportunities on social media to make things bigger and better. This is easy to apply to other industries. So this, I think, would not just stay in the fashion industry. It could easily grow into any industry. And I think there's an opportunity here to change the culture of manufacturing, because we're changing what the consumers want. If we're starting to give them transparency, they want better, fair pay for the people that make it, because they're starting to connect on a human level. So that gives businesses the opportunity to flip what they're doing, increase their prices, so that they make a sustainable garment that real people are getting paid fairly for and are in a safe environment. And I think we could have a really cool opportunity to work with other sustainable projects and share their story and market them, or vice versa. And we could even have the opportunity that if people want, they can give points to charities. Then our threats. Other companies starting up rewards programs. Obviously, there's copycats in a lot of things. So that could be a really big threat to this. Social media, it's a good and a bad thing. So it could go completely south, and with that, it could be that the consumers are complaining that they're paying too much, or there's misinterpretation of the ad campaign. I just remember not too long ago, Khloe Kardashian put on social media where her jeans were made, I think it's called True American, and people reacted badly to it. But when I looked at it, it's not a pretty place. They're in a warehouse pretty much, but it's safe. They're being paid well. There's no discrimination. They have a medical station. Everything is there. So that misinterpretation of what things actually look like could be a bit tough for people to understand. And consumer demands. If consumers want lower prices but still want to feel good, we can't do that. And then, again, the potential problems with transparency. If you get one reporter who sees one bad thing, it could topple everything. But Diffuse as a whole really revolves around people and changing their lives and helping the planet that we're all a part of become more sustainable in such a way that everyone wins.
That was a brilliant idea, Mark.
My question is how, like, what can you spend your points on? Is there going to be like specific things? Does it have to be like sustainable products, or could they just buy anything from H&M? Or I like the idea of the donating your points to.
I think to make it more positive, we have to say anything from H&M. It's not the most ideal, but if you're saying you can only buy these specific items that you might not like, it's not going to go over well.
So anything redeemable in store for as cash.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like that.
I like the idea of the, how much you're demanding from people from the different stores, but I think you might want to introduce like a tiered system. Because if you're like, if you have the big store that you're basing everything on, right?
Yeah.
They have a lot more freedom, and yes, they can produce the staple-like garments and stuff, the 5 to 10 or whatever. But what about allowing smaller companies? Because as we know, most sustainable companies at this point are small, right? Because it's the small people that are changing the world, aka your fellow people here. So perhaps introduce a tiered system so that you can introduce for the smaller independent companies, the more medium sized, maybe like a 3 or 4 or 5 range, so that they can also participate, but it's not going to break them, so that they can also remain sustainable but be part of this, because then you're going to spread the word a bit more, and it's going to be more economically feasible for them.
Yeah, and I think too, like, a lot of people's ideas would already like have a good sustainable percentage, which is really cool. And we can get into any niche market is really the great thing. So I think that would be really good.